Okay, so obviously, thank you everyone for joining today. We're thrilled to be a part of Well Health for so many reasons, but with here, it's so nice because it's so crucial for me to be able to speak to all of you directly, all in one goal. So the goal today is to present our system, CHIME, to you, the key people who work day in and day out to keep your clinics running, patients happy, and staff fulfilled. So with that in mind, let's jump right in because I know how busy everybody is. If during the course of this webinar, you feel like I've glossed over some information that you find relevant, no worries. Just leave a note in the chat or send me an email afterwards or during. I mean, we're all sitting at our computers right now anyway, right? I'll be happy to get in touch and answer all your questions or clarify any details for you. Today, we're gonna just take 20 minutes. Okay, I wanna respect everybody's time. I wanna leave some time for Q&A. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the big picture of the problems that are facing clinics today, how CHIME can help, CHIME's financial impact, and some frequently asked questions that we can kind of address together. There'll also be a few minutes at the end, like I mentioned, for some Q&A. So please feel free to take some notes. I promise to do my best to answer all of them. Also, I should mention that for joining today, there's going to be a lovely little surprise at the end. I won't tell you what it is, but it's gift baskets. Okay, so let's jump in because that gives it right away. So if I could sum up this webinar in one sentence, it would be, we are at our breaking point. The expectations of clinics, physicians, and staff have gone up like never before. You're being asked to do more with less every single day. For those in Ontario, you just saw a new PSA get ratified that only gives you a 1% increase, even though inflation is at a 31-year high of 6.7%. Your people feel stretched to the limits, your margins are non-existent, everyone needs a mental health day. It's pushing clinics to the brink. Now, we used to have some good back pocket solutions for this stuff. Not enough revenue, see more patients. Need more physicians and staff, just advertise. Running out of space, expand your building, open another location. Want to improve efficiency? There's lots of low-hanging fruit to choose from for that. But what happens when the answers don't seem to work anymore? When your physicians don't want to see more patients or come into the office more often, when your existing staff need raises and nursing positions go unfulfilled, when the cost of more space just isn't realistic and you're struggling to find additional meaningful improvements to make. You're constantly working, you're maximizing billings, you're thinking about online scheduling to reduce call volume, you're checking out e-referrals and prescribe IT to streamline processes. You're doing everything right, but it still feels like you're only treading water. We're not moving forward. CHIME can help. This is why I'm here today to introduce you to CHIME. It's a technology originally started by a clinic in Toronto because we could see where the industry was going and where it would be today. It was built by these clinic owners and it's for clinic owners. But before I get into the nitty-gritty of how CHIME works, let me give you an analogy that will hopefully help you understand what the system is and what it can do for you. As I mentioned in the previous slide, it feels like there's no opportunities within easy reach, that all the low-hanging fruit is gone. You're straining and jumping, but it's not easy to get even one more apple. So think of CHIME as a ladder. Once you have it in your clinic, once you have a sturdy ladder, a whole new set of opportunities comes into reach. Okay, so now in our standard demos, I would slowly walk through the hardware components to help you really understand how we're gonna be able to achieve this. I'm gonna try to give you this 30-second version today. In a typical CHIME deployment, we install a variety of devices. Some are wall-mounted, such as a tablet for every single exam room. Some are TVs for your waiting room or staff lounge. There are freestanding devices like check-in kiosks, and still others are carried around by staff throughout the clinic as dedicated smartphones or tablets. This careful use of dedicated devices is really the keystone to how CHIME works. Okay, so all these are the devices, but so what? What's the core value proposition of CHIME? Well, the core of CHIME is technology that keeps track of what's happening inside and outside of your clinic in real time. CHIME knows where staff, physicians, and patients are, and what they're doing. It knows what has happened, what will happen, and what needs to happen next. Let me turn to why real-time knowledge even matters and why it opens up a world of new possibilities. Sticking with that latter analogy, let's review just 10 of the new opportunities that CHIME brings into reach. Each one an example from an actual existing CHIME-enabled clinic. First, imagine a kiosk smart enough to check different patients indifferently, taking into account whether the patient is late, what they're coming in for, how full different waiting rooms are, and even whether the patient should go to a waiting room or should go straight into a specific clean exam room. Second, imagine every patient's estimated wait time being calculated and communicated in real time. Imagine your receptionist never needing to field the inevitable question, how much longer do I need to wait? Ever again. And patients that aren't sitting anxiously on the edge of their seat for way too long, wondering if they've been forgotten about. Third, imagine an AI that knows exactly when and where to assign patients, taking into account dozens of different nuances, including the status of every patient, clinician, and room. Imagine this AI even visually and audibly telling patients where to go using state-of-the-art speech generation. Next, imagine your nurses having a clear queue of outstanding tasks and automatically being notified via a smartphone of what they need to do and where they need to go. Even configure more sophisticated notifications that flag potential problems proactively, such as late patients that haven't checked in yet or multiple rooms that need cleaning. 5, imagine your physicians being able to clearly demonstrate the real-time request with just a couple taps on a wall-mounted tablet. Instead of them needing to run around looking for help, a nurse needs to come give a shot. Someone needs to take the patient's vital. I'm sure everyone here can already imagine how much physicians love this feature. It makes their lives easier. 6, imagine here your team having a real-time bird's eye view, knowing which patients have checked in, how long the doctor has been with her 1 p.m. appointment, and which rooms need cleaning. Imagine being able to visually play back this information to see, for example, what happened yesterday afternoon when patients were complaining about extra long wait times? What was the root cause? And was it something avoidable? Next, imagine all this applying to phone and video appointments as well, so that staff know which offsite patients have checked in and are ready for a call, so that your physicians aren't calling patients only to be put on hold by the patient. We think clinicians need to be able to easily ask staff for help, whether they are in clinic or at home. 8, this is a good one. Imagine a clinic where you don't need to assign 2 dedicated rooms per physician, where rooms are shared in real time so that more clinicians can see more patients in the same number of rooms. More clinicians seeing more patients in the same number of rooms. Imagine a clinic where it's possible to have 7 doctors seeing patients in 10 rooms without introducing any delays. Let me pause here for a moment and stress just how big of an opportunity this is. Even if you think your clinic is full today, this is an actual opportunity to easily grow without needing to move or renovate. 9, so imagine your human staff being supercharged by a team of virtual assistants that never get sick and always show up on time. Even if you have the same number of people on staff, you can now spread them out so that patients can be seen more hours of the day, or perhaps shuffle people around so that more time is spent caring for patients instead of just running around the clinic. And finally, number 10, imagine having at your fingertips a wealth of additional data and interested in the effectiveness of your different nurses, fielding complaints about wait times, trying to understand why a particular doctor is always running hours behind by the end of the day. Imagine having near perfect visibility into what happens in and outside the clinic so that you have the ability to fix and improve things. This is about identifying problems so that you can even fix them. And honestly, there's even more awesome things I could talk about. They made me make this list down to 10. There's so many benefits to CHIME, but those are absolutely the 10 tops. So let me just end here with just one more short example. Remember how I called CHIME a ladder and how it brings a lot more opportunities into easy reach? So imagine every morning when you walked in, you knew that at the very least, everyone from staff to patients are going to be where they're supposed to be at the right time. That's your starting point with CHIME every day. Let's go back to our problems we talked about earlier. Not enough revenue, need more physicians and staff, running out of space, want to improve efficiency. I know it sounds like I'm promising the moon here, but the reality is CHIME helps materially solve each of these problems. Let me give you an example by going back to that original Toronto clinic where CHIME was started. Before CHIME, as you can see, they were a pretty ordinary clinic. 11 exam rooms, 4 on-site staff scheduled each day, 7 hours of patient visits a day, 7 full-time equivalent physicians seeing around 1,500 patients a month. Now, with CHIME, this exact same clinic in the same lease space now only has 3 on-site staff scheduled each day. What's more, now they're up to 10 hours of patient visits a day and 14 full-time equivalent physicians seeing more than 3,000 patients a month. They've doubled it. On that, they estimate they benefit roughly $350,000 a year from CHIME, or the equivalent of $30,000 per exam room per year, since implementing CHIME 4 years ago. Now, obviously, the years 2020 and 21 are a bit of an outlier on these, but otherwise, in a normal year, this is what they've been seeing. In fact, the details of this case study, they're on our website. So please, by all means, chimeclinic.com, go check it out. Okay, so I hope I've gotten your attention, even though there's probably a lot of questions swirling around in your head. Before I open the floor to questions, let me try to address a few. Let's be proactive. Okay, so how much is this going to cost? It's not going to cost the same as Netflix, but it's far less expensive than even hiring a single additional staff member. Solutions like CHIME are a very real and necessary part of the future of healthcare in Canada. And as clinic owners ourselves, we want to make sure it's as affordable as possible for you because we get it. Margins are tight if they exist at all. CHIME has to make sense on reality's terms. The setup costs are a one-time fee, okay? It covers all the hardware and installation that I mentioned earlier. There's no getting away from these costs, but we made a decision as a company to not build any profit into these. All of the hardware is at cost, and so honestly, that cost can vary slightly depending on the market. After the hardware cost, you can mix and match features depending on the needs of your clinic. And don't worry, these can be turned on and off as needed. You're not going to be locked into anything. Also, I want to mention we're a proud partner of RBC Healthcare. We're actually one of only 4 approved partners across Canada. And as such, we've secured a leasing option for you as well. So you can get CHIME installed and running in your clinic with absolutely no upfront costs. So if you want us to put together a loan product to cover the cost of the installation and hardware, we can do that. We can also cover the cost, the installation and hardware, up to also 2 to 3 years of service on top of it. So instead of having to pay anything at the front, you pay nothing, you just pay into this loan product through RBC. It's a wonderful option if people want it. Now, you don't need to be an RBC client in order to get this, okay? But we'd love to talk to you about becoming one. Anyone who becomes an RBC client, you know, even if you get yourself a credit card for the clinic, you're gonna get a 20% discount on our monthly fees. So that's significant, ongoing 20% off in perpetuity. So well worth looking at. And I promised RBC I would mention it. So thank you for letting me do that. Okay, so it's affordable. Is it painful to get it installed? Basically, we get that clinics don't have a big IT department. So instead, you can rely on us to project manage the entire install. We buy the hardware, connect everything together, configure everything, and test it out at our office. We then come in to actually do the install outside of patient hours. So it's a non-invasive, non-disruptive installation. We just get it done. Okay, so it's affordable and we handle the install, but I can hear you. My clinic is different. My clinic is unique. Is this gonna work for me? I've mentioned already that Chime was started by clinic owners. And so the software is designed with the nuances of our industry of running a clinic in mind. The beautiful part is that it was also designed to be adaptive. So every clinic is different, and we know that coming in. We make it work for you and your clinic, and all the wonderful and frustrating nuances that make your clinic your clinic. Okay, so you like what I'm hearing, but what's the entire process like? Don't get bogged down in figuring out which software features you need, how many tablets, how many TVs, all of that. If you think Chime would help your clinic the same way that we've helped clinics all across Canada, then just send me an email directly. Honestly, it's the easiest way to go about it. I'll ask you 3 or 4 questions. With those questions, I can probably give you a good idea of an estimate of cost, but we should also have a conversation about your clinic. Why is your clinic unique? What are the nuances? And believe me, we've seen them all. Once you're a client of Chime, you're a partner. Okay, we believe in white glove service and we take it seriously. We're there for you through and through. The more successful your clinic is with Chime, the better it is for us as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're working with you. Okay, as you can already tell, I could go on about Chime for another hour, but I promised you 20 minutes, so I'm going to stick with it. Okay, before I open it up to questions, I did want to mention that the first 3 people to reach out and schedule a call with me just via email, I'm going to send a lovely gift basket over to your clinic. Okay? Whether that's a gift basket of chocolate or cheeses or wine, it's up to you. I mean, I personally normally end up sending out all 3, and that's what people appreciate. And I think that's what we all deserve, especially after the couple of years that we've been having. So keep that in mind. Adam@chimeclinic.com, reach out if you're interested anyway, and let's chat about it. Okay, so are there any questions? Let me just check the chat here. I can already see a bunch of questions were written down while I was talking. Sorry about that. I can rarely stop the sound of my own voice. Okay, so a lot of these questions are about pricing and a little bit more specificity in the pricing. I think I have something on here that could help. Yeah, okay, so I had a feeling this question might come up, so I wanted to be a little prepared with some things. When you're looking at the hardware installation, it's hard to say how much it's going to cost because different clinics have different sizes with different amounts of room are going to need different amounts of hardware. That's just how it is. And then there's the cost of, with that hardware, getting it all set up and installed. But in general, the one-time setup cost of hardware is a little bit less than the idea of having an extra PAP light in there, okay? In terms of the software features, as we've mentioned, there is no typical clinic. There really isn't. So we can't really have a one size fits all pricing. And believe me, we have tried because we want this to be simple and cheap. The good news is it might not seem so simple, but it is still inexpensive, which is fantastic. On average, you're looking, we have clients all across the board. Some pay about $100 a room per year. Some pay much more than that. These are obviously bigger clinics that need more services, and these might be more medium-sized clinics that need less services, or vice versa. It could be a giant clinic that just needs less services. That's why it's so important that we actually just have a conversation if you want to learn more about Chime. That way you and I can go back and forth. I can figure out the day-to-day of your clinic. We can figure out the layout, and then we can give you an actual quote. And again, a half an hour phone call, and we get to know each other. So it's great. Let me check before I sign off here. Let me double check. Yeah, it looks like no, and I see a question here about, does the layout of the clinic matter? I mean, it matters in terms of our planning and deployment, but we have dealt with every kind of clinic, a big open space, lots of hallways, multiple floors. These all run the gambit of the types of clients and clinics that we deal with right now. So I don't think I've met a clinic yet where based on the layout, we weren't able to help. Actually, I can say for sure we haven't. So not to worry. In fact, you should definitely send me an email so we can talk about it, or I can have a look at your blueprints and I can let you know. So on that, what I want to do is I want to thank Well Health for putting on this webinar. Like I mentioned in the intro, these webinars are so crucial because if we can just get our message out to a bunch of you clinics out at the same time, it's just so much easier and so much better. We really do believe this is where the future of healthcare is going to be. You can see some information on the screen there. Please send me an email. don't bother calling. Let's just email each other. That's so much easier. I rarely answer my phone. If I don't recognize the number, that is. ChimeClinic.com, go check it out. And again, the first 3 people to schedule a call with me are going to get a lovely gift basket sent over. So thank you to Well Health. Thank you to Chris Owens for getting everything prepared here. And thank you everybody for joining.